Welcome back to Anigo, where we deliver anime recaps on the go, giving you the best of your favorite series in under 30 minutes. Today we're diving into the paranormal life of our protagonist, Ichigo Kurosaki, in his life in the anime world called Bleach. Ichigo is actually your average Japanese guy, but not really, because this dude can see what we can't. Yes, I'm talking about spirits and ghosts. Also, you may have heard of that one iconic power named Bankai, and it turns out it came from this anime. There's a lot more to talk about this fun story of Ichigo, so let's get into the world of Bleach. The anime starts with our guy Ichigo Kurosaki, a high schooler who can see spirits, meets Soul Reaper Rukia Kuchiki when she's fighting a hollow. After Rukia is injured, Ichigo takes her powers to save his family, becoming a Soul Reaper. Now acting as her substitute, Ichigo fights hollows and helps spirits cross over. Things heat up when Ichigo meets Uryu Ishida, a Quincy who challenges him to a hollow hunting contest, causing chaos and leading them to reluctantly team up against a giant hollow, Minos Grande. Meanwhile, Soul Reapers come after Rukia for giving Ichigo her powers. Ichigo battles Renji and gets wrecked by Rukia's brother Byakuya, who drags her back to the Soul Society for execution. Determined to save her, Ichigo trains hard with Urahara to regain his powers, unlocking his true strength with Zangetsu's help. With his team Orihime, Chad, and Uryu, Ichigo prepares to storm the Soul Society to rescue Rukia before it's too late. After getting launched out of the Seirei Sorry, I did my best. By Ichimaru, Ichigo and his friends team up with Ganju Shiba, a loudmouth who hates Soul Reapers. Ganju's sister Kukaku helps them re-enter the Seirei using a giant cannon, but the group gets separated upon arrival. Ichigo fights Ikaku and narrowly wins, while Uryu and Orihime defeat Squad 7's Jirobo. Ganju uses tricks to escape Yumichika, and Chad goes solo. Renji faces Ichigo and after a tough fight, begs Ichigo to save Rukia. Next, Ichigo faces off against Kenpachi Zaraki in a brutal battle that ends in a draw. Meanwhile, Chad is defeated by Shunzoe, but spared, and Yoruichi reveals her true form while healing Ichigo. As Rukia's execution nears, Byakuya confronts Ganju and Hanataro, but Ichigo and Yoruichi steps in to save them, stopping the battle before it escalates. Renji recovers in his cell, while his Zanpakuo Zabimaru expresses his desire to fight Ichigo's Zangetsu. But Renji insists Ichigo is no longer the enemy. Yoruichi escapes Byakuya and trains Ichigo to achieve his Bankai. Orihime and Uryu sneak toward Rukia's cell but are intercepted by Mayuri, who attacks them. Uryu unleashes his full Quincy power and defeats Mayuri, but the captain escapes in liquid form. Yoruichi summons Zangetsu and Ichigo must defeat him to gain Bankai. Renji gains his Bankai and faces Byakuya but loses due to inexperience. During Rukia's execution, Ichigo arrives just in time, stopping the Tsukyoku, and the sympathetic captain destroys it. Ichigo fights Byakuya, briefly losing his control of his inner hollow, but ultimately wins. Hitsugaya discovers Aizen is alive, and the mastermind behind Rukia's execution, aiming to retrieve the Hugyoku. Aizen easily defeats everyone, including Ichigo, and escapes to Hueco Mundo. In the aftermath, Byakuya reveals his inner conflict about Rukia's execution, and Ichigo's group returns to the human world, but Rukia chose to stay in the Soul Society. After returning from the Soul Society, Ichigo tries to live a normal life, but things get chaotic when Renji shows up, claiming to be his cousin. Orihime gets mysteriously abducted, and Ichigo, Renji, Uryu, and Chad get caught up in a strange game sent by 3 modified souls who test their teamwork with traps and illusions. Chad is replaced by an imposter, leading to a showdown where Ichigo discovers this was all a training exercise set up by Urahara to toughen them up. Meanwhile, Yoruichi and Sui Feng investigate the bounce, soul-consuming humans causing trouble. Ichigo's crew gets dragged into battles against the bounce and their monstrous dolls. Rukia returns and the group faces escalating danger, including betrayal, intense battles, and Ichigo struggling with his inner hollow. After some crushing defeats, the bound leader Kariya reveals his twisted plan to invade the Soul Society, and Uryu reluctantly opens a gate to allow them through, vowing to settle things there. Yamamoto calls a captain meeting about the bounds, tasking Hitsugaya with stopping them and ordering intruders to be killed on sight. Kariya and Koga wreak havoc in Rukongai, while Ichigo and friends enter Soul Society to hunt the bounds. Rukia gets attacked but is saved by Byakuya. Kariya, absorbing spirit particles, battles Ichigo and Byakuya until Rantao interrupts, revealing her connection to the bound's creation. Chaos erupts as the bounds attack Seirite, leading to the fierce battles between Soul Reapers and bounds. Ichigo finally defeats Kariya, who secretly seeks to end his immortal existence. With the bound threat over, Ichigo and friends return home, as Koga hides, accepting the bound's fate to die out. In Hueco Mundo, Grand Fisher becomes an imperfect Arrancar and attacks Ichigo's town. Shinji Hirako, a wizard, shows up at Ichigo's school and tries recruiting him. While Ichigo battles Hollow, his dad Isshin secretly defeats Grand Fisher, avenging his wife. Meanwhile, Uryu regains his Quincy powers but must avoid Soul Reapers. Ichigo struggles with his inner hollow, prompting him to seek help from the wizards. Back in Karakura town, Espada's Grimjaw and his crew unleash chaos. The Soul Reapers join Ichigo, but Grimjaw's power overwhelms them. Ichigo fights his inner hollow to gain control, and the team preps for Aizen's upcoming threat as various Arrancars wreak havoc. Meanwhile, Orihime's powers catch Aizen's eye, and Ichigo's training intensifies with the wizards as he prepares for a full-blown showdown with the Espadas. Karin Kurosaki meets Hitsugaya during a soccer match, where she gets injured, prompting him to step in and defeat a Hollow. Meanwhile, Ikkaku trains a kendo team, which ends in chaos, when a Hollow attack disrupts a tournament. Elsewhere, Rin and Hanataro help a ghost chef with a cake mission that turns into a fight against Menos Grande. Kon, stuck in a stuffed animal, helps a girl and battles a tragic Hollow. In Hueco Mundo, Patros betrays Aizen, only to be stopped by Ulquiorra. Orihime's capture leads Ichigo and his friends into enemy territory, where they battle through traps and powerful foes to rescue her. Ichigo faces off against Dordoni, who pushes him to use his full power, but Ichigo hesitates until Nell steps in. Eventually, Ichigo uses his hollow mask and easily defeats Dordoni, who sacrifices himself to help Ichigo escape. Meanwhile, Rukia battles Eroniero, who manipulates her by posing as her old mentor, Kaien. Rukia ultimately sees through the deception and defeats him, though she's badly wounded. Uryu fights Iruchi, unleashing a powerful new weapon, Seal Schneider, to take her down. Chad unlocks new powers, but is brutally defeated by Noitora. Ichigo later faces Ulquiorra, but even with his hollow mask, he's overwhelmed. Orihime's presence and a bit of Grimjaw's help fuel Ichigo to keep fighting. Eventually, Ichigo goes head-to-head with Grimjaw, engaging in an intense battle that ends with Ichigo victorious, ready to continue his mission to rescue Orihime. Shusuke Amagai is appointed as the new captain of the 3rd Division, but struggles to win over his squad. Meanwhile, young Princess Lorichio, protected by her retainers Kenryu and Enryu, escapes to the human world to avoid an assassination plot by Kumoi, who aims to control her noble family. Ichigo and his friends get involved when they discover Lorichio is the target of dangerous assassins using mysterious, spirit-eating weapons called Bakoto. After several battles and near misses, it's revealed that Amagai has his agenda. He's seeking revenge on Yamamoto for his father's death. The arc ends with Amagai's tragic self-sacrifice, Lorichio reclaiming her rightful place, and the noble Kasumioji clan regaining its honor. After Ichigo's fight with Grimjaw, he steps in to protect Grimjaw from a new threat, Noitra, who turns out to be the 5th Espada. As Ichigo battles Noitra, his friend Orihime is captured. Meanwhile, Renji, Uryu, and their crew are stuck with Zayalaporo, who uses his powers to create clones and voodoo dolls, causing chaos. Neliel, a former Espada, reverts to her adult form and takes on Noitra, revealing she's actually the third Espada. Despite her power, Zayalaporo's tricks give him the edge over Renji and Uryu. As battles rage, Soul Reaper captains like Kenpachi, Byakuya, and Mayuri arrive to turn the tide. Kenpachi fights Noitra fiercely, finally defeating him, while other captains handle their enemies. Meanwhile, Ichigo's friend Lurichio's Kimari game ends abruptly with the appearance of a hollow, but everything settles when she's reassured about her idea for a Kimari tournament. 110 years ago, Urahara became the 12th Division captain, and recruited Mayuri for the research and development team. Meanwhile, strange attacks happen, and several captains and lieutenants, including Hirako and Hiyori, start turning into hollows. It's revealed that Aizen, with Jin and Tozen, is behind these experiments. Urahara tries to save them, but is falsely accused and exiled. With Yoruichi's help, he escapes, vowing to reverse the hollowification. In the present, the Wizards reflect on how Aizen's betrayal changed their lives. While Ichigo and the gang are off in Hueco Mundo, Urahara decides to protect Karakura Town by forming a hilarious superhero team called Konzo Cop Karakuraizer, forcing Kon to join. The team, including Don Kanonji, Tatsuki, and others, battles hollows and even faces off against an Arrancar. Meanwhile, in fake Karakura Town, Aizen and his crew face off against Soul Society's captain, while back in Las Noches, Ichigo rushes to rescue Orihime from All Kiyora. All this sets the stage for some intense battles, both in the real and fake Karakura towns, as Espadas and captains clash in a chaotic showdown. Muramasa, a mysterious Zanpakuto spirit, shows up and stirs chaos in the Soul Society by turning the Soul Reapers Zanpakuto against them. The Zanpakuto rebel taking on human forms and breaking free from their masters. Ichigo finds Rukia injured and learns that the Zanpakuto, led by Muramasa, has declared war. The Soul Reapers are scrambling to defend themselves, but their Zanpakuto spirits are too strong, and Byakuya has mysteriously switched sides, joining Muramasa. As Ichigo and the captain struggle to fight back, they discover that Muramasa's true goal is to release his master, Kuga Kuchiki, who was sealed away long ago. Kuga awakens and betrays Muramasa, and things get even crazier as Ichigo and the gang try to stop the chaos from consuming both worlds. This season summarizes the intense war between Soul Reapers and Espadas in Sosuke Aizen's Arrancar army, ending with Ichigo and Ulquiorra ready to fight. Various battles unfold, including Ichigo overpowering Ulquiorra after Orihime's help triggers his hollowification. Aizen's defeat, transformation, and the final battle are followed by the aftermath, where Soul Reapers recover and Aizen is imprisoned. Hitsugaya helps individuals affected by hollows and provides solace to departing souls like Yosuke, witnessing snow before passing on. After Ichigo and friends deal with time-warping shenanigans in the Bankai, they encounter Nozomi, a green-haired girl who's actually a modified soul. Turns out the Soul Society's got rogue imposters, called Reigai, causing chaos, all thanks to Kaguroza Inaba, a shady scientist trying to take over both worlds. Ichigo and the crew struggle against these powerful fakes, while trying to protect Nozomi, who's the key to stopping Inaba. Inaba's plans escalate, forcing epic battles between real Soul Reapers and their Reigai counterparts, pushing everyone to their limits as they fight to save both the Soul Society and the living world. After Aizen's defeat, Ichigo lives a quiet life until a thief's gang targets him. Uryu helps Ichigo handle them, but things heat up when Ichigo's part-time boss kidnaps him for a mysterious job. A new guy, Kugo Ginjo, offers to help Ichigo regain his Soul Reaper powers in exchange for dealing with his own Fullbring abilities. Ichigo agrees, trains with execution, and gains new powers. But things go south when Ginju reveals himself as a traitor, stealing Ichigo's full bring and using it for himself. Ichigo, with the help of old friends and Soul Reapers, battle Ginju and other execution members, regains his Soul Reaper powers, and ultimately saves the day. Ichigo returns to his normal life, his friends and family welcoming him back. Soul Reapers Ryunosuke Yuki and Shino Madarame guard Karakura Town following hollow disappearances, while being rescued by Ichigo Kurosaki and the team. Ebern attempts to seal Ichigo's Bankai for Wandenreich, resulting in defeat. Wandenreich assaults Soul Society, leading to an intense battle. Several stern ridders emerge, managing to steal Bankais and cause chaos. Yamamoto confronts Yhwach and meets a tragic fate. A series of skirmishes unfold, involving various characters with intense battles, reveals of past conflicts and sacrifices for their beliefs. Yhwach, Haxvalth, and Uryu reach the Soul Palace, sparking conflicts and alliances among different factions as they fight towards their goals. The story continues with strategic fights, emotional revelations, and shocking twists, escalating towards a climactic showdown. Before we get into the weird journey of Ichigo and his friends, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Anigo, and ring that bell icon so you never miss a recap. There's more to this Bankai than meets the eye, so let's get into the detailed part of Bleach. The first arc of Bleach starts with Ichigo Kurosaki, a high schooler who can see spirits, but his life takes a turn when he meets Rukia Kuchiki, a Soul Reaper fighting evil spirits, called Hollows. When a Hollow attacks Ichigo's home, Rukia is injured, and Ichigo takes her powers to become a Soul Reaper himself, defeating the Hollow and saving his family. As Rukia loses her abilities, Ichigo reluctantly steps up as her substitute, battling various Hollows and helping lost souls find peace. Things get more intense when Ichigo meets Uryu Ishida, a Quincy who challenges him to a hollow hunting contest, leading to chaos in Karakura Town. This showdown forces Ichigo and Uryu to team up when a giant hollow called Medos Grande appears. Ichigo's reckless use of power nearly backfires, but Uryu saves him, leading to a reluctant camaraderie between the two. Meanwhile, Soul Reapers from the Soul Society hunt Rukia for breaking the rules by giving her powers to Ichigo. Ichigo faces off against Renji Abarai and is brutally defeated by Rukia's brother Byakuya Kuchiki. Rukia is forced back to the Soul Society, leaving Ichigo powerless and wounded. Determined to save her, Ichigo trains with Urahara to regain his Soul Reaper abilities, battling through brutal trials and awakening his true power with the help of his inner spirit, Zangetsu. With his training complete, Ichigo, along with Orihime, Chad, and Uryu, who have also honed their powers, prepares to storm the Soul Society and rescue Rukia before her execution. In this second arc, Ichigo and the crew team up with Ganju Shiba and his sister, Kukaku, to blast back into the Seirite using a giant fireworks cannon. They get split up inside, leading to intense fights. Ichigo defeats Ikaku and Renji. Uryu shows his resolve by taking down Squad 7's 4th seat, and Chad faces off against Shunsue Kyoraku but is spared. Ichigo has a brutal showdown with Kenpachi that ends in a draw, and Yoruichi steps in just in time to save him from Byakuya. Meanwhile, Renji trains for Bankai to help save Rukia, and Ichigo starts his intense training under Yoruichi. Uryu and Orihime run into Mayuri, who reveals his twisted experiments on Uryu's grandfather, pushing Uryu to unleash his full Quincy power. Rukia's execution is interrupted by Ichigo, and with the help of Shunsue and Ukitake, the execution halberd is destroyed. Ichigo narrowly defeats Byakuya, with his inner hollow making a brief, scary appearance. The real twist? Aizen, who everyone thought was dead, reveals himself as the mastermind behind everything, aiming to use the Hogyuko hidden inside Rukia. He betrays the Soul Society, defeats Ichigo and Renji with ease, and escapes to Hueco Mundo with Jin and Tozen. After the dust settles, Ichigo and his friends head back to the human world while Rukia decides to stay behind in Soul Society. The third Bleach arc is the Bounce arc, where we meet the Bounce, a group of immortal beings who devour human souls to stay young. Each Bounce has a doll, like a Shinigami Zanpakuto, but their dolls act more like pets with unique personalities and forms. The Bounce, led by Jin Kariya, have a beef with the Shinigami and set their sights on Oryu Ishida, the last Quincy. Ichigo, Orihime, and Chad step in to help protect Oryu. In the second half of the arc, the Bounce invade the Soul Society, aiming to destroy it. This sparks a series of battles between the Bounce and the Gotei 13, leading up to the showdown between Ichigo and Kariya. This fourth arc takes place in Hueco Mundo, where a Grand Fisher transforms into Arrancar and heads to the real world. Meanwhile, Shinji Hirako enrolls at Ichigo's school and reveals he's part of the Wizards, a group of Soul Reapers with hollow powers, and invites Ichigo to join them. While Ichigo is busy, Kon gets attacked by Grand Fisher, but is saved by Ichigo's dad, Isshin, who reveals he's also a Soul Reaper and kills Grand Fisher. Elsewhere, Oryu is attacked, but saved by his dad, Ryuken, who offers to restore his Quincy powers under strict conditions. Meanwhile, Ichigo struggles with his inner hollow, and two Arrancars, Ulquiorra and Yami, arrive in Karakura town. They wreak havoc until Ichigo, Urahara, and Yoruichi intervene. Aizen's Arrancars, led by Grimmjow, launch attacks in the town, sparking intense battles with Ichigo, Rukia, and the Soul Reapers dispatched to assist. Ichigo's inner hollow keeps causing trouble, pushing him to seek the Wizards' help in controlling it. After intense training with the Wizards, Ichigo finally starts gaining control over his hollow powers, preparing for the bigger battles ahead. This arc is the fifth arc when Ichigo, Oryu, and Chad storm Hueco Mundo, showing off their new powers by defeating a couple of Arrancars. After some desert shenanigans and meeting Nell, a goofy Arrancar kid, they get separated but eventually regroup inside Las Noches, where they split up to face off against powerful enemies. Rukia encounters Arenero, who pretends to be her old friend Kaien, but she eventually sees through his lies and defeats him. Chad powers up but gets taken down by Noitra, and Oryu teams up with Renji to battle Zaya Leporo. Ichigo faces Dordani, who pushes him to use his full power. Meanwhile, Orihime is stuck under Aizen's thumb but secretly plots to destroy the Hogyuko. After hearing Rukia is in danger, Ichigo rushes but ends up clashing with Ulquiorra. Grimmjow shows up, drags Orihime to heal Ichigo, and forces a showdown. Ichigo and Grimmjow battle fiercely, and after a long, brutal fight, Ichigo finally takes Grimmjow down. With Grimmjow defeated, Ichigo is ready to take Orihime away from Las Noches, but things in Hueco Mundo are far from over. The sixth arc has two intertwined stories. One recounts the arrival of the new captain of the 3rd Division, Shusuke Amagai, who serves as a substitute for Jin Ichimaru. Shusuke Amagai, the new captain of the 3rd Division, struggles to fit in with his squad. Meanwhile, a young princess, Lorichio, flees to the human world to avoid being killed by her power-hungry caretaker, Kumoi. Ichigo steps in to protect her, but things get messy when assassins start targeting them. Back in the Soul Society, Amagai's true motives are revealed. He's seeking revenge on Yamamoto, blaming him for his father's death. After a series of intense battles, Amagai realizes the truth, repents, and takes his own life. Lorichio regains her rightful place as the head of her clan thanks to Ichigo's help. The 7th arc took place in the past, 110 years before the main series. The Soul Society was a whole drama fest. Kisuke Urahara, and a quirky laid-back guy, is pushed into becoming the new captain of the 12th Division by Yoruichi, much to the annoyance of his future lieutenant, Hiyori, who loved the previous captain. Urahara's quirky methods make everyone uneasy, but he proves himself when he creates the Research and Development Institute, even recruiting a young and rebellious Mayuri. Meanwhile, Aizen's shady scheming is already in play. Fast forward 9 years and strange hollow attacks start happening in Rokungai. Urahara's squad investigates, and Kensei's team is ambushed, leading to his holification. A rescue squad, including Shinji and other captains, gets caught in the chaos, starts transforming too. Aizen reveals his betrayal, using his illusion powers to fool everyone, and it's clear he's been experimenting with holification. Urahara and Tasai try to save the group, but are framed and banished by the Central 46. Yoruichi bursts them out, and Urahara vows to save the holified captains. In the present, Shinji and other wizards reflect on their transformation and head out, ready for whatever's next. This arc is the 8th of the anime, where Ichigo and the gang are in Hueco Mundo. Urahara's back in Karakura Town, thinking it needs protection from hollows. He ropes Kon into transforming a superhero team called Konzo Cop Karakurizer, with Don Kanonji, Tatsuki, Chizuru, Keigu, Ururu, and a few others. They face off against hollows, and even some Arrancars, managing to save the town in epic, hilarious fashion. Meanwhile, back in Las Noches, Ichigo rushes to save Orihime and confronts Ulquiorra. The battle shifts to Karakura Town's replica, where captains and lieutenants face off against Aizen's Espada. Big battles break out as each Soul Reaper fights their opponents with all they've got. Highlights include epic Zanpakuto releases, tense one-on-ones, and some serious teamwork. Yamamoto even steps in to stop an out-of-control Ion. The 9th arc takes place when Ichigo and the Soul Society are in chaos, when the Zanpakuto spirits, usually loyal to their Soul Reaper masters, rebel under the influence of a mysterious man named Muramasa. Muramasa, himself a Zanpakuto, manipulates the spirits to turn against their wielders, causing a massive crisis. The Soul Reapers struggle to regain control of their powers, with each Zanpakuto taking on human forms and declaring war. Amidst the chaos, Ichigo battles fiercely to protect his friends and uncover Muramasa's motives. Muramasa's ultimate goal is revealed. He seeks to free his master, Kuga Kochiki, who has been sealed away for centuries. As Muramasa's plot unravels, Kuga is finally released, only to betray Muramasa, leaving Ichigo and the Soul Reapers to face their most dangerous battle yet. The 10th arc follows Rangiku and Nenao's return from a time warp Bankai, causing concern among their captains. Meanwhile, Ichigo and Rukia deal with the hollows, while Kon discovers Nozomi, a girl in rags. In the Soul Society, captains and lieutenants are replaced by fake versions called Reigai, causing chaos. Ichigo's crew learns Nozomi's a fugitive, and after several battles and discovers, they find that Inaba, a rogue scientist, is behind the Reigai invasion. Despite losing his powers, Ichigo regains them with the help from his friends and a bit of tricky soul candy work. The battle against Inaba and his Reigai reaches a critical point, with Ichigo fighting to restore balance and save Nozomi. The 11th arc follows 17 months after defeating Aizen and losing his Soul Reaper powers. Ichigo Kurosaki is now a high school student living a quiet life. His peace is disrupted when a thief he previously stopped comes after him. Ichigo and his friend Uryu Ishida deal with the thief, but Ichigo's boss kidnaps him and forces him to work for a client who wants to investigate Ichigo's dad. The client, Kugo Ginju, offers Ichigo a chance to regain his powers, but things get complicated as Ichigo discovers Ginjo's true intentions and the dangerous Fullbring powers. Ichigo trains to master Fullbring, but faces numerous challenges, including attacks from enemies controlled by Tsukishima, a powerful Fullbringer. After intense battles and revelations, Ichigo regains his Soul Reaper abilities thanks to his friends and Soul Society allies. In the end, Ichigo defeats Ginjo and Tsukishima, ensures Ginjo's proper burial, and returns to his normal life, ready to continue protecting his loved ones. The Quincy Blood War arc kicks off with Yhwach making his grand entrance at the Vandenreich base. When he sees Ludersfrigen and Asgiaro Ebern bickering, Yhwach gets super pissed. He slices off Luder's arm for arguing, making him crash to the ground in agony. Struggling to get up, Luders can still talk to Yhwach while he's on the floor, But Yhwach threatens to chop off his legs since he doesn't need them. Yhwach then asks about the 5-day prep time for the war against Soul Society, mocking looters and questioning his claim about knowing the future. He then turns his attention to Eburn, noting that while he doesn't need to praise or blame him, Eburn has at least managed to stall Ichigo Kurosaki. The show delves into moral ambiguity, showing that characters like the antagonist have their motives and perspectives. This teaches that good and evil are not always black and white, and understanding different viewpoints is crucial. Bleach often reflects on the consequences of characters' actions, whether it's the impact of a battle or the cost of revenge. It teaches that choices have repercussions, and understanding this is key to personal and communal growth. The journey of the characters is all about growth, whether it's Ichigo's evolution from a high school student to a powerful Soul Reaper or the personal struggles of characters like Renji and Byakuya. Bleach highlights that growth often comes from overcoming obstacles and facing one's fears. And that's everything we need to know about the long journey of Ichigo. This is a long-going anime series, so if you enjoyed this recap, drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and let us know in the comments what anime you'd like for us to cover next. Don't forget to ring the bell so you're notified when our next video drops. Thanks for watching, and see you next time on Anigo, anime recaps on the go.